Right, we're on Ben Hogan's golf grip. We're going to talk about Ben Hogan's golf grip today. It's the only point of contact you have with the golf club, so it's obviously very, very important. If you get it wrong, it can have issues with club face, dynamic loft, angle of attack, all sorts of things can happen. Ben Hogan's golf grip is the grip to copy, in my opinion. So I've found a relatively quiet spot on the golf course here. I'm not going to hit any balls, we're just going to purely talk grip and a drill that can ensure that you stop coming over the top because you've adopted Hogan's grip. Now the lead hand, left hand for the right-handed golfer, your lead hand, your gloved hand, finger placement and pad placement, so important. Watch this. Finger placement, excuse all this. It's interesting. Finger placement, so your your lead hand, sorry, in between this line and this line, so that line and that line is where the golf club sits. Sits in that circle there. So when you're placing your lead hand on, I get them mixed up all the time, placing your lead hand on, this is what Mr. Hogan did. He would place the club, the left hand, so if I do this, the left hand in there, and then it's got the room for manoeuvre up and down the palm as to where he places it. But the contact point was there on the lead hand, in that red circle. Now, in relation to the rest of the hand to support the club, this pad here, the club sat underneath the pad. So you can see my pad there. The club sits underneath there. Just in here. That's where my club's going to sit. So I place my lead hand, red dot from index finger in the front of the grip, front of the shaft, and then the pad sits on top. You can see just there where that pad is sitting on top, and then I take my grip. Now that for me does feel a little bit weird. It feels as though when I put my hand on there that I'm in a very weak position. So weak as in turned towards target, strong as in turned away from target. That's strong, that would be weak. There, I've got a 5-iron in my hand, but that to me feels quite weak because I am a slightly stronger grip player, but it feels quite weak there. And when I look down, I see 1.5 knuckles on my left hand. 1.5. A lot of tour players now have got a weaker grip because they can hit harder, they can be more aggressive with their hands because there's no way the face is going to close over. So the body turns and they can hit really hard. Hogan talked about wishing he had 3 right arms to apply all that force in there and really get that club face to close over, but it won't fully close over. He'll take the left side of the golf course out because the grip's weak. His reference point here, there's 2 things to think about. His reference point here regarding the V between index finger and thumb. This little V shape that's created between index finger and thumb goes up towards Mr. Hogan's right eye. So if he was in a strong position, that V's coming down here, that's not happening. He is index finger, pad there, V going up towards right eye. So a good way to check that is hold the club out in front of you, take your ball position, lift it up. Where is it pointing? It's pointing towards my right eye as I see it there. Back down, there I am, pretty good. Now, the second thing to think about, if I've gripped this correctly, I should be able to take 1, 2, 3 fingers off the club. There. So it's sitting exactly under the pad and the red dot is on the front of the shaft, so I'm able to hold it there. That is me securely, lead hand, Ben Hogan style. Trail hand now. The trail hand is all about the 2 middle fingers as far as I'm concerned. As far as Mr. Hogan was concerned, very, very similar. These 2 fingers here, they get applied on the club in a certain way. You look at Stenson would pull it down, really focus on those 2 fingers there, and then wrap his hand round, take his grip, play his shot. You can just imagine Stenson doing his thing, feeling that in there. Hogan was the same. This trail hand, I'm going to draw some more lines on here. There, the club shaft, there to there. In this section here is where Mr. Hogan laid the club. Right in there. Actually, it was more here. So in this shaded area there was where Mr. Hogan would hold the club. There. So right at the top of the fingers, they wrap those 2 fingers round tightly. Lead hand on, a lot of pressure on these 3 fingers. Trail hand, these 2 fingers wrapped round tightly, and then the hand's placed on. Where would the V be on the trail hand? Where's this V between index finger and thumb and the trail hand. Incredibly, that V is pointing up towards Mr. Hogan's chin. That must be a really weak grip. It is generally quite a weak grip. Hands are pretty much turned round that way, 1 to 1.5 knuckle on the lead hand, with the V pointing up towards right eye, there. I then take my position, put my club vertical. I can place my hand correctly, wrap those 2 fingers round, take my overlap grip. Myself and Hogan have an overlap grip, interlock, 10 finger. Those 2 fingers are on, wrapped round, then from there I can place the hand on. And that's the precise placement Mr. Hogan had when he placed his hands on the grip. Now, how does that prevent you coming over the top? Well, we've talked about preventing to go left because we've got a weak grip and we can now hit hard at it with the hands, educated hands of course. But how does it stop you coming over the top? Watch this. If I address this ball that's lying there, can you see the invisible ball? Take my grip, a la Hogan. 1, 2, 3 fingers, that's a pressure point, that's going to grip quite tight. There, I place my 2 middle fingers, my ring finger and my middle finger on trail hand, wrap it round, overlap, there. I'm now good. I now feel as though I'm in a weak position, which is crazy, so I can hit hard with the hands, because I'm never going to close that face over. That's never going to happen. If I take my index finger and my thumb of my trail hand off the grip, like so, and hit balls like that, where this trail hand, this trail finger, index finger, touches the grip, that's pressure point number 3. So that's going to come through and that's what's going to control the back of the shaft, therefore controlling the club face with that connection there, where that trail index finger touches, basically that knuckle touches, that's going to control everything. So I won't be able to, if my index finger and my thumb are pinched together, I won't be able to yank down from the top. That lack of connection there and control by the finger, the index finger on the aft of the shaft, will bring me down into a position here where it's much easier to deliver the same every time without any tightening grip over there. Isn't that incredible? And then of course if you can apply power and speed to that, Mr. Hogan talked about the bottom half of the body working first and then this lagging behind. You can hit hard with the right hand without the index finger or the thumb being on, and you'll swing on a great plane. You very rarely come over the top from that action. And that for me, ladies and gentlemen, is an absolute win. Mr. Hogan knew what he was doing. He knew all about the grip, how the hand placement was on there. He was way ahead of his time, and we're still teaching that today. Go out and try and play golf with a slightly weaker grip, with those pressure points and those positions on the grip. Leave comments, let me know how you get on. Try the drill, over the top will be gone, slice will be gone. It's not going to be easy though. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye bye.